Wounds to wisdom, here we grow. Lessons learned, let love flow. Healing hearts, one step at a time. Turn the pain into something divine. Whoa.
All right, so today we're going to tackle something pretty tough.
Yeah.
Resentment in relationships.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
And for this deep dive, we're checking out The Silent Killer, how to overcome resentment in relationships.
Okay.
Now, this isn't just like your typical self-help stuff, right?
Right.
We're going deep.
Yeah.
We're going to really figure out how resentment works and what we can do about
I
it.
would love that.
So first off,
Yeah.
why is resentment called the silent killer?
You know, it's interesting because it's not always, loud and obvious, like a big fight. It's more like a slow burn.
Okay.
You know, it kind of simmers under the surface
Yeah.
and it can really damage your relationship over time.
So why is that slow burn so powerful, though?
Well, because it plays on our human need to keep the peace,
Yeah.
We avoid conflict, we let things slide.
Right.
But all that bottled up anger, it can be way more destructive in the long run. It's kind of like ignoring a tiny crack in a foundation, At first it seems small, but over time it can weaken the whole structure.
Yeah, and that's where this idea of resentment building up comes in, right?
Exactly.
Like the silent killer talks about how it accumulates all those little annoyances,
Right.
like unmet needs we just kind of shove under the rug.
Absolutely. And it gives us a great example about dishes.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly having to do the dishes, even though you've asked your partner to help out,
All the time.
each time you end up doing them, it might not seem like a huge deal at that moment.
Right.
But, over time, that feeling of unfairness, it builds up and turns into resentment.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of us are already,
Yeah.
suspicious that we might have some resentment going on.
Yeah.
But how do we actually spot it, before it really blows up?
Well, the book highlights some really subtle clues.
Okay.
Think about changes in your communication. Maybe you're withdrawing more, or you're getting snippy, or resorting to passive aggression. Right.
Or you start noticing it in your partner.
Yeah.
They're suddenly short-tempered.
Yeah.
Or their affection is cooled off.
Yeah.
There's this distance that wasn't there before.
Okay, so that's a good starting point, I think.
Yeah.
But confronting resentment head on can be scary.
It can be really intimidating.
So what does the book offer as a first step?
Well, it actually emphasizes that just basic open communication isn't enough.
Okay.
It recommends this thing called the speaker-listener technique.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of that. Have you?
No, fill me in.
Okay, so it's all about structuring your conversation in a way that avoids blame and makes sure both sides feel heard.
Got it.
So one person speaks, the other listens without interrupting, and then they summarize what they heard
Right.
just to make sure they understood.
Gotcha.
And then you switch roles.
Okay.
It takes practice, but it creates a much safer space for these,
Right.
tough conversations.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The book really emphasized this idea of taking ownership.
Yeah,
And that really resonated with me.
absolutely.
Using I feel statements instead
Yeah.
of you always statements has been huge
I love that.
in my own relationship.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because instead of waiting for your partner to magically understand what's wrong,
Right.
you just clearly and calmly express your needs.
Uh-huh.
And the silent killer says that this can prevent resentment from building up in the first place.
So speaking of prevention,
Yeah.
it all comes down to setting boundaries, right?
It does.
But isn't that kind of confrontational?
It can be.
Yeah.
But the book argues that healthy boundaries actually prevent bigger conflicts down the road.
Okay.
It's like setting clear expectations right from the start, saying, hey, I'm happy to help with chores, but I need us to divide them fairly.
Right.
That honesty up front can save you a lot of resentment later.
So it's like being proactive about your needs instead of letting things just fester.
Yeah, think of it as emotional hygiene,
Yeah.
Just small, consistent efforts to keep your relationship healthy.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
it's clear that recognizing and addressing resentment is key for a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
It's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
Right.
It's about learning to handle it constructively.
I agree. And remember, you're not alone in this.
That's so important.
Resentment is a really common challenge in relationships.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a silent killer.
So I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Think about one small step you can take today to improve communication with your loved one.
Okay.
Maybe it's expressing appreciation or setting a boundary
Right.
or even trying that speaker-listener technique.
Yeah.
Every little bit counts.
It does.
In preventing resentment from taking root in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's it for our deep dive today.
Awesome.
Catch you next time.
See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to Wounds to Wisdom, where every heartbreak turns into a breakthrough and every lesson becomes a blessing. Remember to subscribe, share, and join our community of love and growth. Together, Let's rewrite the stories of our hearts, one wise decision at a time. Until next time, remember, your journey is your power, and your wisdom is your greatest gift. Stay inspired and stay loved.
From wounds to wisdom we rise so strong, learning loving where we belong. Heal your heart, embrace the right, grow through the pain with love as our guide.